What's up?
Hey guys, welcome. This is Dominik Lipinski, and I have a special guest with us. And welcome to all of you that actually decided to come on this hangout and learn some secrets and some knowledge to earning 8 figures and helping thousands and thousands of people. So I have a special guest with us, Brian Carruthers. And for some of you that don't know Brian is actually an author of Making My First 10 Million book, who actually has sold over 100,000 copies. Also a 7-figure annual earner, and on the internet he also brands himself as the foster mentor, helping a lot of young entrepreneurs, and also an author of a new book that's just releasing, Building an Empire. It's a complete blueprint to building a massive organization. So Brian, welcome to this hangout. I appreciate you having you on. Where are you calling from right now? Hey guys, welcome. This is
I'm in
Don.
Davisonville, Maryland.
Where are you again? I'm sorry, I just had a little technical difficulty.
In Annapolis, Maryland.
Annapolis, Maryland. Okay, awesome. I'm actually here in Chicago, but let's get started with the very first question. And I always like to start with, what is your personal definition of success?
Well, success, unfortunately, for a lot of people, is a lot of different things. I personally look at it as, a manifestation of a worthy goal. Sometimes people have business success. They want to accomplish a certain level of achievement in a business, or a certain income level, or they want to have the certain trappings of success, a home, a car, a certain lifestyle. For me, I was in my early 20s. I was chasing success in a big way, but then when I wound up in the network marketing industry, I wound up, and also getting into personal development. I realized that success is kind of narrow and it's a little bit more selfish. I wanted to actually chase significance, and I learned that significance is not just succeeding yourself, but it's helping a lot of others to achieve success. So your legacy is not just what you did, but what you helped others to do too.
Awesome. I love that. I love that. I actually personally went through the same change of first, kind of chasing after, the dollar, and then realizing that it's a lot about significance and living up to helping others in the world. So, I've learned a lot about like morning rituals, and the question that I have for you is, what do you do every day in the morning to get you up and going? Is there like a ritual that you have for yourself?
I do and I don't. For a long time, I was a night owl, so I was up until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And in my business, I do a lot in the evening times. And so for me, I would wake up when I was done sleeping. When I was tired of sleeping, I finally just rolled out of bed. A lot of times, it was after 10 o'clock in the morning. Now it's for years. I've got a 7-year-old son now, so when I have him for his school days, then so I'm getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning. So that was a big shift over the last year or two. But for me, regardless of what time I get up, I try to number one, adjust my thinking. So whether it be reading, 10 pages, just even if it's just 10, even if I don't feel like reading. And by the way, I hardly ever feel like reading. I don't enjoy the act of reading. I enjoy what I get from reading. So I do a lot of reading, but I don't enjoy the act of doing it. So for me, if I get just 10 pages of a good book, something that's motivational, something that's about setting your thinking right, magic of thinking big, or success through a positive mental attitude, or live to win, any one of the number of great books out there. Just a little bit of reading in the morning. Certainly, sometimes I'll even pop on a CD on my CD player for a few minutes. But other than that, I kind of jump into my day. Everybody's got different philosophies. Some people say don't be a slave to your inbox. Prioritize your day and get the most important things going right away. For me, I'm a little bit different. I attack my inbox first, knock it all out real quick. Attack my voicemail box, return any phone calls that are important. If they're not important, I'll get to them later on when I've got some time. And I just jump into my day.
Awesome. Well, I know what you feel in terms of, you don't do reading because you enjoy reading, but you enjoy what the reading gives you for the rest of the day. And I remember Jim Rohn actually was the one that said that a lot of people start their day in a neutral or in a reverse, because they turn on the news and unfortunately get a lot of that negative stuff to start their day with. But So I know the importance of mindset, and I wanted to ask you, what are some of the activities that you do whenever, let's say, you're not feeling at 100% with your mindset, starting your day right. So what do you do to bring yourself back to the desired state of mind?
There's always going to be hiccups and challenges. I mean, obstacles are always thrown in front of us every day, and it's basically how we respond to them. They're always going to happen. So for me, I always just remind myself. I surround myself, and you can't really see my home office here, but I've got pictures on the wall, things that are important and motivational to me.
Hmm.
So if I'm ever having a hard time, I'll look up. I'll look at a picture of my son. I'll look up and I'll look at a picture of the Turks and Caicos property in the islands that I bought. Me standing on the beach. I just put myself in a little bit of a different space. Whether I'm talking to a prospect that stone cold rejects me, or whether I've got somebody on my team that quits, or whether something in my personal life throws one of those zingers at me. You know what? I just remind myself that I can't control a lot of the things externally. The only thing I can control is how I react to them or respond actually to them. So thoughts are things, and we can control our thoughts a lot better than we actually realize we can. So I'm always trying to readjust and keep positive and just focus. I went through a divorce 3 years ago, and I've gone through things where my brother had heart attacks, my father had heart surgeries, and all these things are going on. And for me, through all those hardships, I still always reminded myself to focus on what I can control. And one of the things I've always been able to control is my business
Hmm.
and my business activity. So when I have something hard going on in my life, I'll just jump right on into my business, and I'll just focus like a laser on it. And it's something I'm passionate about. Obviously, that's why I'm doing it. It's profitable. I've got goals that I'm running after, so it's something that allows me to focus on something that's going to allow the other stuff to kind of figure out its place in my life.
Awesome, beautiful. So since you already touched a little bit on your business, tell us what is currently your profession and why did you choose to pursue it? Because I believe not. I know after I read your book, Making My First 10 Million, that you come from a very successful real estate family, and you had your jump start over there, and you decided to pursue a different route. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. In the Making of Our First 10 Million book, it's all basically based on my story about how I was a real estate agent. My brother and father, we were building a real estate business together, and my brother actually took the role of helping my dad with the brokerage side, building it out, expanding new offices. I was jumping right into selling houses. I wanted to go out and master being a real estate agent and selling a lot of houses, make a lot of money. And so for a time, I was making 100 grand a year when I was 25, 26 years old. My brother was a year older than me, was making less than half that. So I was always teasing him and ribbing him about how much more money I was making and why he was wasting his time and not doing what I was doing. Well, as the years progressed, the leverage kicked in, and he was able to start generating a very significant income, over $1 million a year. For me, I was always going to be living sale to sale, check to check, and as we say in real estate, you're only as good as your next sale. You wake up every single morning unemployed. And until another real estate agent came into my office one day, and I was trying to hire him to come work for our real estate company, he starts telling me about this network marketing opportunity and about leverage and about residual income. I understood leverage because we had that in real estate, at least the family business did, but I didn't have any residuals. And residual basically means, and by the way, I ask people all the time, do you understand what residual income is? And most people say, yeah, I do. I said, well, do you have any? They say, no. I said, you don't get it then, because if you did, you go through a brick wall in order to get some. And so for me, I didn't have any. And once I finally understood what it was, I said, I got to get me some of that. And so I actually got involved in network marketing, and I spent 4.5 years in a couple different businesses that didn't really generate results, but I learned a lot. I made maybe $1,000 my biggest month after 4.5 years. It was a little bit daunting to think, all right, well, when's it going to turn on for me? But wound up finding the right company, the right fit for me, and it just exploded because in this. So anyway, I shifted from real estate, being a professional real estate agent, what everybody would consider a great career, a great path. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't realize that some of the people that used to work for my dad in his real estate company in the 70s and 80s in 2014 are still selling real estate today on the same treadmill. Their hair is a different color. They got more wrinkles in their face. They're no better off today than they were years ago because they're still living sale to sale, check to check. And now with me, 15 years later, after I've left real estate to pursue my network marketing business, I've made over $15 million from home. with no employees, no overhead, no insurance, no leasehold improvements, no boss, no commute, no stress. I mean, it's a completely different lifestyle. And I tell everybody, I don't care if you do the network marketing business that I'm in, you're in, or whatever. And people just got to find a network marketing business they can do on the side from whatever they're doing right now. It'd be the smartest move they can ever make.
Absolutely, absolutely. So how was that shift from real estate to network marketing? Would you say it was easy to accomplish? Are there any tips that you could give to inspire and motivate others?
It's nothing worthwhile is ever easy. You know, people make a mistake, and I've made a mistake many years for saying, "Oh, this is an easy business." The challenge is, if it is easy, it's also easy to do. It's also easy not to do. It's a simple business from the standpoint of, you know, all we're doing is marketing a product or a service and finding others to do the same thing. It's probably a little easier for me because I watched my father recruit every day into his real estate company looking for real estate agents. So I understood recruiting and why to do it. So for me, you know, network marketing was a natural thing, but I still had to go through the growth curve like everybody else. You know, 90 out of 100 people you talk to are going to say no, they're not interested. Of the 10 that say, hey, I want to do this, 80 or 90% of them will be done and quit in the first year. So, you know, there's no easy shortcut. You know, I always tell people that you know, at the counter of success, you got to be willing to pay full retail. There's no shortcut or discount. You know, any tip I would give somebody is just find a good mentor that's already figured out what doesn't work and has also figured out what does work. And the term "figure out" means that it's never been done before. So we don't have to worry about figuring anything out because it's already been done before. We just need to learn what's already been proven. So that's the beautiful thing about this. You know, you're not figuring anything out. You're just finding the right opportunity that suits your personality and what your values are and what you're excited about. From there, find the person that can teach you, and you can just learn and get through that growth curve as fast as you can.
Awesome. I love that line that you just used, that you have to pay a retail price for success. There's no discounts. Love it. I'm going to have, thankfully this hangout is recorded. So I am so thankful for you actually sending me an advanced copy of your new book, Building an Empire, and, you know, the complete blueprint to building a massive network marketing business by you. So my question is, you put so much time and energy into this book. What were you looking to accomplish by writing this book?
First of all, when I've been in network marketing now for 19 years, part full-time, part-time, and then part of it was full-time, 15 years full-time. And as you can see behind me, I mean, this is my home office, so I got a huge library of books. Some are about this profession, some are all kinds of personal development, other books. I don't do much really fiction at all, but there's no book that I've ever had in the palm of my hand for me to actually read as a reference guide, as a go-to for all the topics that we need to learn in this business. And so there's a lot of good books. Trust me, there's tons of good books that will cover this topic or that topic or maybe a handful of topics. But for me, you know, I looked at my team that I've been working on building, you know, for the last 15 years. It's now well over 300,000 people all over U.S. and Canada that are distributors on the team. And I can't be there all the time with them. As a matter of fact, I'm rarely there with them. Sometimes I'll get on a conference call. Sometimes they come to the national convention. There's 15,000 people, and they can hear me talk for an hour there. But I wanted to be able to take everything that I've learned from the thousands of meetings I've done, from the thousands of conference calls and CDs I listened to, and the books I've read, and the people I've mentored under, all that information for the last 19 years. I mean, tens of thousands of hours. How can I download that into every person that's joining my team so they have the same chance to win? Because you have to have the same access to the same information if you want to have the same kind of success. And there was no book out there like that. So it was just basically filling a void, in my opinion. You know, if somebody else wrote it, I would be just as excited about it. Well, probably almost as excited about it as if I wrote one myself. I'd be getting everybody on my team to go read that book. It was going to help my team learn what that author learned. Unfortunately, many authors out there, sadly to say, you know, never really did it themselves. You know, they learned it. You know, a lot of times people complain about, you know, college professors. You know, if you're so good at business, why are you teaching business in college instead of running a business yourself? You know, in network marketing, I didn't want to just learn from some author that went to some meetings and wrote down what they were hearing other people talking about and say, hey, I'm the guru. You know, the fact that you know, and I guess one of the things that I think hopefully people will recognize is that, you know, I've been doing this business 15 years full time. I'm still doing it. When we get off this hangout, I'll be doing it today. I'm still doing the same thing today I was 15 years ago. I have not left the trenches. I do everything that's required to. I mean, literally this year, I'm going to go. I'm treating it like I'm starting from scratch. I'm going to go to a 7-figure annual income again. I'm already at 7 figures, but I'm going to go out and build it again this year, the same way I've already built the first time around. So because I'm in the trenches and know how to do it, if I can just take that, put it in a book, and give it to all my team, they all can learn from the same thing. But it's not just limited to my team. Obviously, it's generic, so it's for anybody in any network marketing company.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I am 70 pages in, and I'm taking a lot of notes, and there's I'm bookmarking anything that I can and taking side notes, and I've already gained so much value just from the 70 pages that I've read, and there's 250 plus pages. So I can't wait to finish this book. And so for the network marketers, I'm sorry, what was it?
There's 104 chapters. So if you think, some books have, 5 topics, 10 topics. I mean, this is like every topic you can possibly think of that you would encounter in a network marketing business. There's 104 things that are explained in that book. That's why it's gonna be a thing. Once you get through the book, like a lot of folks, I've been talking with a lot of the biggest leaders and legends in network marketing. These people that have made tens of millions of dollars. Some of them own their own network marketing companies, and they're talking about with me, getting big orders placed because they want to push down this book down through their entire organization and make it their book of the month this coming month. But also they want to have their team reading it every quarter, so they can keep on going back and reading it. And a year from now, the same people that read it today, a year from now, they're going to read it in a completely different place because they've experienced more experiences in their business, and it's going to resonate with them a year, 2 years, 5 years from now, where some things right now are going over their head a little bit. So.
Absolutely, and repetition is the mother of learning, as we all know. Can't just read a book one time. So for all the network marketers that we have out there listening, what do you believe makes someone have that special edge success in network marketing?
Special edge. When I would consider maybe the it factor, somebody, the person that's going to make it to the top of a business like this, first of all, the 3 ingredients you got to have in this or in anything. You got to have a burning desire, a white hot burning desire that you just want to win. You want to achieve massive success. If you don't have that burning desire, it ain't going to work. Number 2, you got to be, you got to be coachable. I don't care who you are. You can be Tiger Woods, you can be Peyton Manning. I don't care who you are. You got coaches. And if you ever feel like you're good enough or too good for a coach anymore, that's when look, in life and in business, you're either growing or you're dying. You're getting ripe or you're getting rotten. And so you have to be coachable, and you have to remain coachable. And then thirdly, you got the burning desire and you're coachable. You got to be number 3. You got to be willing to work. And my work ethic, most people that know me, who have watched me doing what I do for the last 15 years, have all said that I've got some of the best work ethic that they've ever seen. Nobody has to call and motivate me. I never have my mentors, my upline support folks call me up and say, Brian, what are you doing today? Can you make some calls? Can you do that? Like, if they're calling me to ask me that, I'm telling them, you don't know me, call somebody else. I don't need motivation from external forces. I learned great work ethic from my parents, my father, mother, both of them, very, very hard workers their whole lives. So for me, those are the 3 things that you got to have. But you also, and sometimes this is something I think that would be important to talk about. People say, well, you got to do what you're passionate about in life. And, and I read a book by Tim Sanders called Today We Are Rich. And he talks about how sometimes people think that they got to do what they love because you never work another day in your life if you're doing what you're passionate about. The challenge is if you're following your passion, you're making no money, you're going broke, and your family's leaving you, and life is crumbling. Then that's not really a good plan. There's musicians and artists and people out there that love what they do, but they can't focus just on that. Otherwise, they can't provide a living for their family. So what he talked about, sometimes you got to have your passion and your purpose could be 2 different things. Now, your passion could be music or surfing or art, but your purpose needs to be providing for your family, paying the bills, and building a business. And sometimes they're separate, and it's okay. For me, what I found that my secret sauce has been is that I'm passionate about business, about building friendships, about helping others achieve success, and my purpose is also the same thing. So for me, my work is my ministry. I don't have to stop. I don't have to put my work down to have fun. I love what I do. I don't have to put my work down to go out and help somebody else or to be a benefit to somebody else in this world. It's all intertwined. So when you get to a place where it actually does kind of is congruent. What you want out of life and what you're doing about it are actually in alignment. That way, you're living a congruent life. Every morning when I wake up, I'm congruent. The only times I wake up and I'm not congruent is when I feel like the day before I was slacking, I was lazy, I wasn't doing I wasn't putting my best foot forward. That's when I don't have the happy feeling inside, and that little twinge of guilt. Unfortunately, some people, they go a whole day not being productive and not being in alignment, and then the next day they let another day like that go by, and the guilt gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and soon enough they go into a depression that they can't snap out of, because they know deep down inside, now it's actually in their head, you know what, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right. I absolutely agree. So what type of advice would you actually give somebody that's looking to, find the time and financial freedom in a home-based business, and how to start a home-based business to pursue their passion?
Run it by me again. I didn't catch that one.
Sure. What type of advice would you give to somebody that may be looking for a home-based business to then supplement for their time freedom as well as financial freedom, so that frees up the time for them to pursue their passion?
Sure. Well, again, your network marketing business, it doesn't necessarily have to be your main passion. There's a lot of people that maybe they're musicians or artists, like I said, and that's not really going to be, you're not going to do much with network marketing about that, but network marketing can fund that opportunity. So, for example, I have a friend of mine that I met here in Maryland. She was a great musician, great singer. She was a beautiful singer. And she wanted to get out of working at a gym full-time selling gym memberships, because that's what she had to do to make money. But she had no time for singing. So she actually got into the network marketing business with me because she wanted to be able to make enough money to get out of the gym, to be able to be at home or in a studio more. And so she's accomplished that goal. So I got a chance to listen to her CD a few years ago, and she's living out in LA now, or Orange County, California, and she's got a husband and 2 kids now that she didn't have before. So her life is just amazing. And it's all because she had her network marketing business that she started up on the side from her gym job. And as she ramped it up and actually started making more money with network marketing, she was able to get rid of the job, and now she was able to focus on other things. So I would just, my advice to anybody that's right now a W-2 employee working for somebody else, trading your time for money. Hey, look, in America these days, maybe you just feel lucky to even have a job, which, by the way, sure, that's great that you have a job. Better than not having one. But whether I even posted on Facebook today, I said, there's 2 reasons why somebody should look into starting a business for themselves right now. Number 1, you don't like what you do and you want to change. Or number 2, you like what you do, but you just want more cash flow to be able to, for whatever your reasons are. And so I just believe that everybody should be building a business like this in one way, shape, or form, whether it be 5 hours a week or whether it be 40 hours a week. Just get something like this going on, because at some point you're going to realize. And some people say, well, I got tons of money, so I don't really need to start a business. Well, having money and no time is no good. I've been there. I was in my 20s making 6 figures. None of my friends were making that kind of money, but they had time to go out and party and hang out, and I was working all the time. I grew up in a fancy neighborhood. My father did very well in real estate. I grew up in a $1 million home down the street from the boxing legend Sugar Ray Leonard and all these other wealthy people. Unfortunately, the kids in the neighborhood, they never saw their parents. Their parents were always away chasing a dollar. So, having money and no time is no good, or having time and no money is no good. So you want to have a happy balance of both. And the only place that I found that everyday average people like us could achieve that is through a network marketing model, because it's got the leverage and it's got residual income. So the leverage gives you passive cash flow, and the residual income gives you money that comes in even if you're not even on the gas pedal. That's what gives you. I go down to Turks and Caicos every year, a couple times a year, to my property down there. I'm snorkeling around, hanging out on the beach, fishing, whatever I do. And I get paid every single day while I'm vacationing. That's what this opportunity would offer.
Awesome. Well, I think our audience now understands the importance of finding a home-based business. Now, are there key components based on almost your 20 years of experience? Are there a few key components that somebody looking to pick a network marketing business they should pay attention to while making their decision which company they should go with?
Sure. I personally am not keen on startups, and I'm not saying don't do one. It's like saying don't buy an IPO. You just never know. For me, I would prefer a blue chip. Something that's safe, something that's solid, that's predictable. Because again, if it's going to be my livelihood, or if it's going to be something I want to bank on, 10, 20 years from now to pay that residual income check to me, I want to be able to put my head on my pillow at night, knowing that my check and my company will still be there in the morning. I don't want to be involved in something that's going to cause me to kind of lay awake at night worrying. So,
Right.
find a strong company with strong track record, 5 years or more. Again, this is not gospel. This is just my opinion. Find the leadership of the company needs to be solid. Have a background in the industry, knows what they're doing. You need to find a product that resonates with you. That's not laden with like tons of competition. If you can go get that product everywhere else, similar ingredients or similar pricing or whatever, then competition. Take a look at the competitive nature. And it needs to be something that's recurring. I don't really, I wouldn't put myself into a one-time sale that only paid you once. There's no residual in that. You might have a team that's if you have a downline team that's going out there and doing a lot of one-time sales, you can get passive override income from that. But that's not residual income. That's passive overrides. I want passive overrides and residuals, which means that you sign up that customer one time, as long as they continue to buy or keep purchasing that product or service over and over and over again, that's what's going to be the passive residual income. So make sure it's got the kind of compensation that you're looking for. And I think lastly, I always tell everybody that I want to find a void in the marketplace that's waiting to be filled, that's not already handled. Steve Jobs became an icon because he actually turned our dumb phones into smartphones with the iPhone. There might be other phones that were out there that were trying to go that route, but he changed the way we communicate. With this device. I don't care if you've got a Samsung or an Apple iPhone or whatever you got, but understand that before this was introduced, there was a void there that got filled, and now you got the richest or the most valuable company in the world, which is Apple now. I don't want any of us to be.
Yeah.
We need to dream, but we don't need to be dreamers. None of us are probably going to go out and become a Steve Jobs, but we can be in our own little world. In my little bubble of what I do, I'm changing, a part of this country with what I do, and so I think people just need to find something that really resonates with them, with those other factors involved as well.
Awesome. Great content. Thank you. So let's switch the gears a little bit and talk about how do you find balance in your life to spend the time with the family, to spend the time for your personal, whether vacation or personal development or whatever it is that you choose to personally pursue, hobbies.
I asked I had a mentor, Paul J. Meyer, who a lot of people may not have heard of before, but if you've been around personal development for a long time, you certainly will have known him. He's known as a grandfather to the whole personal development industry, authored and sold over $2 billion of his own books and audio programs worldwide. I actually was at his house in Waco, Texas, where he had a personal development museum. He owned the original manuscript for Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Oh, wow.
I mean, just amazing. But I used to ask him that because he taught how to have a balanced life. But he also shared that you actually sometimes will get unbalanced and will need to get a little bit unbalanced or a lot unbalanced. For me, I was lacking balance at the beginning days of building my network marketing business. And so for people that are just looking to just make it a convenience business, success is not found in convenience. You got to be willing to give up to go up. You got to make sacrifices. So I sacrificed some family time, some friend time, and all that to be able to build my business so that later on I can have a lot more balance. So I was willing to be uncomfortable for a while so I could be massively comfortable later on. That's called the slight edge effect. It's called the compound effect. And so, right now, if you're looking to be comfortable and build a successful business, you're not thinking right. It's not going to happen. That's what we call dreamers. We want people that have work ethic and have realistic expectations to go out and follow that dream and make it happen. So I would just, on Shark Tank last week, I was watching a guy from Venice Beach, California, who's got this cool way of putting a picture onto a shoe or onto a shirt, and he was trying to get these billionaire sharks to invest in his business. And he said, hey, look, talking to Mark Cuban, hey, will you invest? The other sharks were kind of going out on him. And Mark goes, well, how much money are you paying yourself out of your business that you're creating these revenues from? He goes, 6 figures. He goes, well, what are you willing to actually, if I invest, what are you willing to pay yourself? He goes, I can still live the LA lifestyle for about 6 figures. And Mark laughed. He goes, whatever, I'm out. He goes, what do you mean? He goes, seriously? You feel like you need to make 6 figures while you're trying to grow this thing, and I'm going to be investing my money in you? He said, what were you living on before you started making some success? He goes, I was living on ramen noodles. He said, well, if you're not willing to go back to living on ramen noodles again, you're not getting my money. So as entrepreneurs, we need to understand, you don't have to eat ramen noodles, but but maybe you do. I mean, but you got to be willing to be so hungry that you want success so bad that you're willing to go out there and do whatever you got to do.
Awesome, awesome. So now let's go in the future. What are some of your visions and aspirations that you have in your future for your business and personal life?
For me, I mean, taking a page out of Paul Meyer's book, he died when he was 83, about 4 years ago, and so, watching him and learning from him, he was making money till the day he was gone, and he always used to say, "I want to make millions and billions more because the more I make, the more I can give away." His goal was to give away every cent. He wanted to die broke. He tried. He couldn't. He had to hire 2 full-time accountants to try to help him get rid of his money because the more he gave away, it kept on coming back to him. His investments were multiplying. He died when he died. He owned 340 properties on Grand Cayman in the Cayman Islands. The biggest landlord in the whole islands. And so, from that standpoint, I personally just want to make a lot more money because I can go out and do a lot of great things for people with it. There's nothing more I need. I've got the homes and the cars and the stuff. My mom asked me for Christmas, "What do you want every year? What do you want for Christmas?" I'm like, I don't know. I already have everything. So there's nothing I want. There's nothing I need for. So I don't want to make money for greedy reasons. I want to make money for the satisfaction, and it's ego-driven. I'll be honest with you, it's an ego thing. I want to be able to give a lot of money away. I want to feel good about myself because I'm helping other people. A lot of people say I give money away and it's not about me. It's about bull. You do it. You wouldn't do it if it made you feel bad. People do things because it makes them feel good. So I want to make a lot of money. I also want to help my people that I'm working with, whether it be in my business or people like you or other people that are in other businesses out there. That's why the book now takes me out of my cocoon I've been living in for 15 years with my own one company. I can now, through this book and through fostermentor.com, I can actually be able to touch other people out there in the world that are going after their dreams and play a role in their success. One of the things I would love to hear is just my name mentioned or my book mentioned on the stages when people are actually accepting their $1 million achievement award. I want to help a lot of people to become millionaires, and I want to help a lot of kids get their parents back. I've got a 7-year-old who's got a dad at home. There's a lot of kids that don't have parents that are home. They have absentee parents, and so I want to give kids their parents back. So there's a lot of things like that that's going to help me achieve my goal of significance, and so that's what I'm looking forward to in the future.
Awesome, awesome. I love the genuine energy that's coming from you when you actually say that. So last question actually for the day and for the interview. Let's go decades forward in the future, and let's just say that it's the last day of your life and you actually have your grandchildren and your great grandchildren around you. And what would be the few words of wisdom that you would share with them that could make them the most impact in their lives?
Probably I'll take some words from John Addison, who's the CEO of Primerica, who's a friend, and he's always said that you never take advice from people more screwed up than you are. And we all tend to do that. I don't know that I would listen to people that don't have what I want. I wouldn't really care what they think. So if somebody has a great marriage, I'll listen to that person about marital advice, not from somebody who's got divorced 3 times. Certainly we can learn from people that have made mistakes, don't get me wrong, but I would tell my kids and grandkids that anything's possible. And it's our responsibility to take the seed of greatness that God planted in each and every one of them. It's a responsibility to find it, because it's buried down in there somewhere. Sometimes it's shallow, sometimes it's buried very deep under a lot of baggage. But find that seed, because that's our life mission, is to find the seed and make sure that that seed blossoms into something. And that's going to take what? It's going to take cultivation. And cultivation, you get the seed. Cultivation is sun and rain, positive and negative. You're going to go through a lot of good times in life. You're going to go through a lot of bad times in life. But that's what's going to get you the great harvest. You're not going to have a great harvest. It's just all rain, rain, rain all the time and no sunshine. Or if it's all sunshine and no rain, 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 then you're still, so we got to take that seed and we got to find it and do something with it. And I'm going to remind them that if it's my last day, tomorrow is going to be the date that's going to be on my grave marker. And so the day I was born, the day I died, and the dash in between, I'm going to say, hey, look, I gave it all I had. I lived my life without any regret. I accomplished a lot. I impacted a lot of people, and so I can tell you, grandkids, that I feel happy the way I live my life. And my advice to you is make sure you get out of every day what you need to get out of the day, and give to every day as much as you can give to every day, so that the dash between your two dates will have actually left a major mark on the world when you leave it behind.
Awesome. That was great. Well, Brian, I appreciate your time spending on the line with us, and for the people that are watching, and for everybody that's getting knowledge out of this. If at least we've helped one person to change their life, I believe this webinar was definitely worth it. And everybody, go to fostermentor.com, subscribe to Brian, and subscribe to his knowledge. Also, go to buildinganemempirebook.com to get this wonderful book, and not only learn how to build a massive organization in your network marketing business, but how to free your life, how to get more time and financial freedom in your life to do the things you're passionate about. Also, there's a webinar that gives a lot of value about this book, and you can go to thiswillexplodeyournetworkmarketingbusiness.com. And those links you're actually going to be able to find below this video if you're looking to access any of this information. And again, Brian, I thank you for being on this webinar, and I thank you for writing this book, for taking the time to write this book to revolutionize the world, I would say, because I believe this book will go on to be one of the best network marketing blueprints on how to build a massive organization network marketing.
Well, Dominik, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate the opportunity to chat with you today, and for everybody that's on the Hangout here as well. I mean, you're a great guy, and you're gonna help a lot of people, so I appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you, Brian. Everybody, have a great day. Talk to you later.